Hey, Dr. Floyd. Jimmy Harper here. This is my video presentation for my literature review paper that you helped us walk through this semester. So, I decided to focus on cybersecurity for human based behavior. In my role at my current institution, that does fall up under me, so I have a particular interest in this area. And over time, because I've been doing this for probably 8 or so years now, working with cybersecurity, I've seen that a lot of errors that tend to occur basically are human errors, or any kind of cyber attacks or anything we may deal with is just simply human error for lack of education, not paying attention, those type of things. So this area has a particular interest for me. And so as I got to thinking about that early on in the class, I was like, I knew this was the path that I wanted to go on. And I started thinking about the different things that cause these issues to occur as we're from the culture and things that we have there. So as I started doing my research and started looking for references and those type of things, I saw that a lot of individuals were focusing back on the same things as well that I had experienced in my own profession. And a lot of it just ties back to leadership, the culture, and those type of things that you establish. And what are you going to provide for your employees from a training standpoint, from a protection standpoint, to try to make sure your organization and them can keep everyone safe. So, as I stated in my introduction, part of this is you have to give employees a certain amount of access to be able to do their day-to-day functions. So you have to be able to trust them with that amount of access. And as one of my references has Scala from 2019, he's basically mentioning how you can put all the configurations in the world in place, but there's still a chance that these security measures are going to get compromised just because humans have to have a certain level of access to do their job. So the overall purpose with this was just really to examine the different methods that are used in cybersecurity to help identify and mitigate human vulnerabilities in an organization. And with this, I really hope to show that as you implement these things, it can help mitigate the risk. So I mentioned culture a little bit earlier, and that's where some of my research just kind of focused into because I was finding others were thinking that way as well. And Pavlo had organizational culture defined as a system of shared assumptions, values, and beliefs that govern how people organize and behave. To me, that's a very true definition of how an institution and other businesses actually work. I mean, it comes from the top down, whatever procedures and policies someone decides to put in place. So as I went through the research more, I started picking up on things that were common problems that a lot of places that face. And Scala had also mentioned out there with this article from the article in 2019 about the 5 hard problems. And this is something I think a lot of higher ed institutions face with scalability and composability, their overall policy, the metrics that they have, the resiliency of their systems, and just the overall human behavior. So that keeps coming back to that common theme of human behavior. And a piece of this is, yes, you have to train your employees and you have to provide them guidance. You have to put security metrics in place. But as Cram stated, one of your goals is to hire in employees that really buy into that culture. They have that mindset. They want to follow policy. They want to follow procedure. If you do a great job of finding those type of people, you can really move your organization forward. So to kind of get back to the reason for all of this and the questions I want to answer is, does implementing security policies in an organization really minimize the security threats that could happen by an employee? Should organizations perform internal phishing? Because there are some questions out there about that, and how can that help their cyber awareness? And then just what are some of the overall best practices organizations can put in place to help minimize cybersecurity threats that are typically enabled by employees? So, getting into the methodology piece of this, I kind of got to thinking about, yes, I'm trying to really see what the different methods are and what can be done to help with this. And given that some of my research was tied back to education, a lot of it was tied back to organizations, and then I work in education, that's really where I wanted to focus at. And I was thinking the best way that I probably could approach this with my sample would be to get someone from every sector, and when I say someone, I mean some institution of every sector of the USG, from research, comprehensive, state university, and state college, because we all have different levels of resources. We have different viewpoints on things. I think that would be a really good mix of different cybersecurity personnel and what they want to put in place. And to collect a lot of this information, I would want to create my own survey based on what I was thinking, around 20 questions. Some of this would focus on basic institution information because I want to make sure I have that, but most of it's going to focus on the cybersecurity culture that they have there. But I think to really truly dive into this, it's got to be somewhat of a mixed method approach of collecting some open-ended information from the survey, but also mixing this with some security metrics from the institution, because I think that would tell the overall story is, what are they doing at the institution? How does the leadership there feel about it from a cybersecurity standpoint? And then what is the story of the metrics based on what they've seen the last few years? Definitely would want to use SurveyMonkey. Very familiar with that. I think that would be an appropriate tool to help deliver this. And once I get the information back, what I would like to do is really look at each institution individually for their own sector to see how that looks. But then I also would want to put everything together and how does it look as a system. I think that would tell potentially a couple of different stories. Wouldn't know without actually getting the data there, but that's kind of where my mind is at with that. And I really feel like this would put me in a situation to describe what I'm seeing happen there. But I think it would also give me an opportunity to do some prescriptive analysis, if I can get that out right, of where institutions would want to go with their policies and procedures. So I think overall, doing it this way would put me in a situation to help answer those questions. And for me personally, I think it would help me with what I deal with in my profession, but it may also put me in a situation to help others around the USG to see just kind of how we're doing overall. I know it's a very important topic for all of us right now. They're taking some measures in Atlanta to try to help move this along to make sure we have the right protocols in place. But I just think it's a very worthwhile topic. And I do want to say thank you for guiding us through this process. This is something that's very new to me. When I went through the master's program, there was not really much research aspect to it because of the course layout and the program layout. So all of this was very new and provided me with a great opportunity to learn a lot this semester. I know going forward, and especially as we move to the next class from a statistical standpoint, you're really shaping how we need to be thinking about these type of things so that we can do these type of things in the future. So just wanted to say thank you for that. And this concludes my presentation, and hope you have a good evening. Thank you.